Okay, and it might be kind of obvious, but if you're going to go ahead and give me a derivation like this, going from S down to the hot dog hidden Android and showing me each step, don't handwrite that. Yeah, use a text editor, copy, paste each line to the next. You'll take one line, copy, paste it to the next line, and then you'll delete one non-terminal and splice in the right-hand side of a corresponding rule for that non-terminal. Yeah. Okay. However, there is another way of representing these this information of how we go from S to the final string, and that's called a syntax tree. And this I would do by hand, but so a syntax tree is going to be something that looks like that. And yeah, we'll have S at the root. That's whatever we started our derivation from. And notice that the very first, step we do is, the first step in our derivation was S goes to NP v NP dot. Okay, we'll make exactly that and put it on your tree. If we then wanted to go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to do something with this NP here. In particular, I think we took that NP, what was the next step we did with that NP? We replaced that NP with art n. So if you just now said, hey, we replaced that second NP with an Android, you were doing too much. You were doing like 3 or 4 steps all at once. So I'm going to say, hey, yeah, that NP went to art n. What did that about? And then what did we do? Hey, this art went to an, and this an went to Android. And so we can go ahead. There was one step that said art. That article went to an. And again, it was a single step going from N to Android. Okay, cool. We're growing the tree here. In fact, that V was kind of similar. We had V goes to hit. That was a single step. So from V to hit. Yeah. And now we can sort of see, now we'll just do the same thing for that NP, the beginning. That went to art and N. That art went to a the, and that other noun went off to hot dog, and that's how we ended up with this thing here. Here's what I want to point out, things that people often sort of get a little bit wrong when showing me a tree. First of all, I think the most important thing, that every node in the tree, if you look at a node and its immediate children, that is one rule of the grammar. You can take every node and its immediate children and write which rule that is. So for instance, NP goes to art n. If there's no rule that says NP goes directly to an Android, well then your tree shouldn't go from NP directly to an Android. It's going to do it indirectly. Okay. Another thing to note is that if we can read off this tree and get the final string that it represents, it's going to be an in-order traversal of that tree. So we can go ahead and go draw a little dotted line, and it sort of, bends up and down for the in-order traversal of that tree. But yeah, so yeah, if you show me the tree, I can read off the string it represents. The last thing that people sometimes do that's not technically correct, I'm not too worried about it, but don't do it, is they will go ahead and they want to have that string be straight across on the bottom. And so they'll go ahead and for instance here for hit, they might go ahead and have another line going down and repeat the word hit down here. Well, first of all, you're writing more than I need you to write. And technically there's not a rule that's saying hit goes to hit. I mean, none of those were the listed rules, so you shouldn't really have hit with its immediate child being hit, because yeah, it's not a rule. And similarly, on a problem like this, a lot of people might take that dot and sort of carry it down, down, down. Okay, but no, this is, I think, the nice way to draw this tree. We call this the syntax tree. Fair enough, okay. Yeah, this shows this. You can either give me I might either ask for a tree that says, hey, a certain non-terminal can be derived through many steps to a string, or I'll ask for the individual steps, the individual derivations. Same information both ways. The tree comes in all at once. With the derivations, actually, there's a little bit of play in that. Remember, we could have taken, back when we had the initial version, we're like, hey, do I want to expand this NP or do I want to expand this NP? And I could have when I did the derivations, yeah, I could have taken either of these, and I'd end up with technically two different, sequences that both correspond to the same tree. That's okay. And again, if I do ask you to write down the derivation sequence, you'll give me the individual steps, and we'll try to do a leftmost derivation where, when you're choosing which non-terminal to choose the leftmost non-terminal that you haven't already done, and leave things to the right there. Which again, is not how we started off this example. I started this example with taking the second NP, and then around step 4 I said, hey, let's go ahead and do the leftmost version. Okay, so anyway, just pointing out that there's both I might ask for a syntax tree, I might ask for the sequence of derivations. Usually the syntax tree is the one in my head. Okay, think of the syntax tree. When I'm asking for something in a text file, I'm not going to ask you to draw that tree in a text file, so go ahead, I'll ask for the derivations there. Okay, let's go on and look at some more examples of grammars that we can try. I'm tired of hot dogs and androids. That's a lie. I love hot dogs. I love androids.